What's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there? It's Monday night, and this is the first. Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Thursday. It's 2:30. This is the 7th period live stream. Thank you guys for joining us. I see there's 21 of you out there. Hello, everybody. Hi, Phoebe. Hi, YouFun. Owen, Kayla, Hanson, Stella, Dia, Elizabeth, Nicole, Jessica, Kyle, Jonathan, Jalo. Good to see you guys. Good to hear from you. Hello again, Michelle. Ooh, something's in my pocket. What is this? Old receipt. How's everyone doing out there? Let's see. What's going on? It's Thursday, and we're getting close to the end of week 2. I don't know about you guys, but this week feels like it went faster than the first one. Anyone else feel like that? Well, let's get started. Here's your kind of a warm-up discussion for today. I'm just kind of curious, want to see how you guys are doing and maybe give you some pointers. But go ahead and comment, just type this in as your response. What has been in these 2 weeks, or maybe just this past week, what has been the hardest part of being in the shelter in place and schools closed? And what's been the best part of it? What's the silver lining? What have you really enjoyed about this whole situation? So go ahead and type it in right now. I'm going to put the music back up and give you guys a sec to type that out. But let's hear from everybody. There's 22 of you. Go ahead and let me know what's been the best and the hardest thing about all of this. Watching a little bit. It's really relaxing. Okay, cool. Sounds like a lot of similar things. 1 hour of sleep. Jonathan, what are you doing? I hope you're being productive. Man. Wait, Jonathan, you go by JR? I like that. You should have told me that before. All right, let me scroll up and look at some responses here. So, motivation to exercise is hard, but Annabelle's grinding more efficiently on games. All right. Waking up for some classes? Oh, like live streams and stuff. Jalo's saying going to bed early, waking up on time. Sleep. Vivian, you're saying sleep and motivation to do schoolwork. More sleep. PE workouts are rough. Eating whenever you want. PE. Sleeping in, more sleep. Not going outside, getting more sleep. Stuck with your sister all day. Yeah, that can be tough sometime, but maybe one day you'll look back on it and be thankful. Kyan's watching Netflix. Good. Phil's sleeping. Good to see you again, Phil. Don't have motivation to keep up with the schedule for some classes. Abriel's saying that best part is you have more time. Hardest is you wanting to do homework. Yeah. Okay. A lot of really similar things. I'm kind of surprised that nobody here has really said anything about being social, or like missing friends. I don't know if. I guess I'm hoping that just means you guys are doing a really good job, keeping up with people and FaceTiming and stuff and finding ways to connect with people even though you can't really leave. Um, that's what I hope, at least. Or you're just all a bunch of introverts. I don't know. But yeah, I think the sleep part has been really nice. I think I agree with you guys a lot on that. Let me switch over back to this thing. I wouldn't say I'm really sleeping in. I think my average is like I'm going to bed at like 12:30, and then I'm usually up by like 8:30. So I'm getting my 8 hours of sleep, which is really nice. I don't think I need to like sleep in that late. So yeah, the sleep part is really, really good. The motivation part, yeah, I think that can be tough. I don't know if I have any tips for that. I mean, if you're procrastinating, I think that obviously that's just going to make it harder, right? If you're like waiting until 8 or 9 or 10 or midnight or 1 a.m. to like try to start doing your work, that's pretty tough. If you haven't already tried, if I were you, what I would do, guys, is maybe try to get all your work done like earlier in the day. Like as soon as you wake up, have your breakfast, and then like carve out a specific time to get stuff done. I was going to talk about this later, but I'll just bring it up now. We are in week 2 right now, and I don't know if you guys saw the email that went out yesterday from the district or from Ms. Dazinski, but schools officially, the opening for school has been pushed back officially. And originally we were kind of hoping to come back after spring break. Obviously that's not going to happen, but the school closure has been pushed back to May 4th now. So we have like more than another month. Like it's like a month and another week after on top of that. It's like 6 weeks worth where we're not going to be in school. And that's I don't know about you guys, but that's a big bummer. I mean, again, that's not really a big surprise, like given how we're seeing like in other countries how long it takes for the coronavirus stuff to do its thing and for that curve to come back down. But that's like another 6 weeks on top of what we already have. So if you're not feeling really motivated, or your days are getting kind of blurry because your sleep schedule is kind of off, now's a good time to like try to get yourself into a good routine, because that's not going to be really sustainable, right? If you're like after like 8 weeks of not having a schedule and not being motivated, not being productive, it's like the feedback cycle where like the less you feel less productive you are, the less motivated you're going to be, and the less motivated you are, the less productive you're going to be. And it's just like it's called a positive feedback cycle. So you really want to avoid getting into that groove. And so those guys that are waking up like somewhat early, like at 9 or 10, and then getting stuff done in the morning, I think that's a good pattern to get into. So some of you guys may have slipped a little bit. I highly recommend you try to tighten up your schedule a little bit. One of the things that actually helps with both like the scheduling and the social aspect, I was talking about this with AP this morning, is that one of the students commented that he makes a schedule for himself, but since you're at home all day, it's kind of hard to stay motivated to keep that schedule, right? And so one of the things I've noticed is that you can what helps to keep your schedule is to actually plan stuff with other people. And if you have to like be on a Zoom call at a certain time, here's my notepad with like, this has been my schedule thing for the past 2 weeks. I just kind of write in, I don't know if you can see it. I write in all my to-dos. I write in like when I want to have live streams, and like today I have a live stream at 9:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30. After this at 3:30, I have another meeting with the teachers union. After that at 4:30, I have it's more of a fun one, but we're doing a FaceTime with our friends down in Santa Cruz, right? So, it sounds like a lot, but like having my day blocked like that and knowing that at those times, like someone is on the other side waiting for me, that really kind of like gets me off my butt and like holds me accountable a little bit. So maybe that's something you guys could try if you're having trouble making a schedule, is to like schedule to do stuff with people. And that doesn't have to, like it could look a lot like different things. I mean, we've done dinner dates with like other couples and family members where they'll cook, we'll cook, and then we'll sit down and just like eat together and talk. We've done movie nights where like the other night, me and my wife and then 2 other couples that we're good friends with, we all got on Zoom together, and the girls used this app. It's a Chrome extension called Netflix Party. So one person can like control Netflix for everybody else. So they picked a movie and the girls watched a movie, and then the guys, we were on Zoom and we were playing. We all downloaded like a poker game. It's not with real money or anything, but we just like played poker together and talked through Zoom. So there's a lot of ways that you can be creative about like having that social time, but also building a schedule for that. That'll help give you some structure through your day. So, and you can even do that if you're like going out for a walk or something. You can walk with somebody, just call up your friend and FaceTime as you do that. That always helps. So those are some tips on, how to keep it going in the long run. Because again, we have at least 6 more weeks of this. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Any questions? What do I need to talk about next? I guess since we're talking about the future stuff, just so you guys know, I've been working with your sub. Her name is Miss Ray's, and I don't know. I told her about this live stream. I texted her. Let me see if she might be watching. Kiana, if you want to say hi, you can say what's up. Hey, Elizabeth, what's up? Good to see you. But yeah, your sub's gonna be Miss Ray's. She's a science teacher, and she's super awesome and really on top of stuff. We've been talking like every couple days just about like what it's gonna look like for you guys when you get back from spring break. And so she'll officially like take over when you get back. And I think at some point in the next week or so, I'll get her on here with me and doing a live stream. And you guys can ask questions and meet her and kind of get to know her. But she's going to keep things pretty much the same as what we've been doing. But I do have a question for you guys about just getting some feedback. So here's a chance to... Oh, there she is. Hi, Miss Ray's. So some feedback for me and for Miss Ray's about the class. I've been hearing feedback from like other teachers about like workload. Like 5th period was saying that some teachers... the work is really inconsistent. So like some days it's like 10 minutes to finish an assignment, and other days it's like 2 hours. Everybody that's watching, there's 24 of you guys. Go ahead and comment right now. What's worked well for you for this bio class in terms of like how Canvas is set up, how the assignments are spread out, how long it's taking, the pace of everything. Comment right now. Let both of us know how this thing is going and how can we make it better as we plan for the time after spring break. So yeah, I'm gonna turn the music up, give you guys a few minutes to write that up and submit that, and I'll switch over to the walking raccoon. Did I say raccoon? Raccoon. While you guys are doing that. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're getting a lot of really good feedback here. I'm just going to scroll up so I can read through some of this. So the organization's pretty good. The spacing's pretty good. Pace is good. Good feedback on the videos. the thing I like about the videos is even though I feel like when I'm teaching I'm going pretty fast, you guys can always like pause it to finish taking your notes. Yeah, Michelle, without a printer, you're not the only one. There's quite a few people that don't have printers. I think, yeah, Kyle, you too with no printer. Yeah, the diagrams, yeah, it's a little bit tricky. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's a best way around that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something I can brainstorm a little bit. I don't know if we could like print stuff out and mail it to you, or if you physically can't draw. Yeah, I mean, guys, the drawings, they don't have to be exactly. I know like exactly the same as the diagram. I know they're like on the Intro to Ecology one, there was like one with like arrows going everywhere and it's pretty complex. That one, that's all good, Selena. Glad you joined us. Yeah, just do your best with it. I don't. It doesn't need to look exactly like the picture. And one day in the future, if we end up like getting back to school, or if someone that has a printer, we could always like figure out a way to print it out later and have you guys glue it into your notebook. Let's see what else. Some other feedback. Speaking of printers, so some people have been emailing me about how the documents are kind of like funky when you download them and you try to print it out. Like everything gets moved around. And it looks like it went through a blender, and yeah, Word doc is kind of like is messy like that because unless you have the exact right version of the software, it can mess with it a bit. So what I did actually, I did this in 5th period. Angelo, I did this for you. I think I saw your text. But I went ahead and resaved all of the handouts that we're giving as a PDF, so it's not going to get all jumbled. So if you guys have trouble printing out the worksheets, if you go back on Canvas and just refresh it, if you've already, you got to reload the page, all the links are now updated with PDFs instead of Word docs, and that should take care of like any issues you have with the formatting and printing and stuff. Okay, yeah. Well, that's all really good feedback, and we'll definitely keep that in mind. If you think of anything as we go through this, and obviously, I've been doing this for about a week now, so I'm starting to get a hang of it. But Miss Reyes is going to be kind of getting her feet wet with this, and so just be patient with that process, that learning curve, but also just give her any feedback that would be helpful. Elizabeth, you're saying you lost your assignment 1 again. You need to print a new one. Are you talking about assignment like the one we just did? Oh, for unit 6. Oh gosh, I can't even remember. Oh, that's the evolution thing. Yeah, I'm not gonna have you worry about it right now. I don't. Let me see. Actually, do I have? Oh, you know what, Elizabeth, I do have it. So. Send me an email and I will email you the document and the pictures to go with it so you can do it at home. All right, just shoot me an email, Elizabeth. Not a problem. Okay, yeah, no problem. The next thing on our list, before we kind of close up and like do Ask Me Anything and check-ins, is just bio-related stuff. So if you guys have your notebooks with you, or if you don't have it, go and grab it really quick. I just want to give you guys some time to go over assignments 1 and 2. If you have any questions about the Intro to Ecology stuff, and also if you have any questions about the energy flow assignment, now is the time to ask. So go ahead and grab that notebook, flip through it. If you need any clarity at all, now's the time to ask a bio-related question. So go ahead. couple people just got here. If you're just joining us, we just opened up the time to ask questions on any of the assignments that we've done so far. So if you have any, sorry, music's too loud. Yeah, so if you have any questions about assignments 1 or 2, now is the time to ask. And it would be helpful if you grabbed your notebook for this time. Goodbye, guys. There's 25 of you out there. Somebody ask a question. Got about 15 minutes with you guys, so if there's anything that you need help with, it's a good time to ask. Actually, something that comes to mind, if you're thinking of questions still. Yeah, we got one. All right. Confused on energy flow and nutrient flow. Okay. Yeah, let me pull up that diagram. Let's see, maybe the best way to look this up. Let me find. I got a PowerPoint with my AP class that is pretty good for this. Okay, I got it. So, Elizabeth, you're kind of confused on energy flow and nutrient flow. I think what you mean by that is like kind of the difference between how they move. And so to help you with that, I've got this PowerPoint from another class that shows the dynamics of ecosystems. So as we talked about, ecosystems involve 2 main processes. Let me move my face a little bit here, make it smaller. You don't really need to see me. And those processes are how energy moves, which is that it's in one direction. Okay, and the way you can see that in this diagram is by now you understand like the idea of producers and consumers, right? Producers are the plants, the algae, the photosynthetic bacteria that do photosynthesis. And so what happens is when you look at the way that energy moves through an ecosystem, all of it comes from the sun. And then the producers pick that up, and then when they turn that sunlight energy into sugars or food, then it moves down to here into the consumers. And you can see the bird now is eating the seeds and stuff from the trees. So when you look at energy moves in one direction, meaning that it moves from the sun to the producers to the consumers. And then when the consumers use that energy, I know the arrow kind of ends down here, but this would represent heat, right? So whenever you use energy, that's going to generate body heat. And that's released into the air, and you don't get that back. That's why when you're running in PE, you feel your body warming up. It's because you're using that energy. So whenever energy is being used, it can't go backwards. And what I mean by that is once your body releases that heat, there's no way for you to get it back and put it into your body, right? In the same way, the bird, once it eats the food and uses the energy from the seeds from the tree, that energy cannot go backwards to the trees to be reused. And in the same way, the trees cannot give that energy back to the sun to be reused. And that's what we mean by energy flowing in a single direction. Okay, the sun is, for our purposes of discussion, an infinite source of energy that just basically powers everything on Earth as it goes from the producers to the consumers and then into heat. Now, nutrients, on the other hand, and this is kind of just labeling that, right? So energy goes to the photoautotrophs or producers, and that moves to the heterotrophs. Now, nutrients, on the other hand, are different because nutrients are really referring to the atoms that make up our bodies, right? So the carbons, the nitrogens, the phosphorus, the actual physical chemicals that make up your body, not the energy part of it. And so when plants get nutrients, the first thing is, where do they get their nutrients from? Well, it's 2 places. They can get it from the soil. They absorb minerals, and the soil provides a lot of nutrients from them. But plants can also get nutrients from the air, right? Remember, trees take in CO2 and they do photosynthesis and they build sugars from that. So plants take those nutrients from the air and the soil, they turn it into leaves and what we call biomass, right? Stuff that can be eaten. And then that biomass gets eaten by the heterotrophs, the consumers, and now they get those atoms, and those atoms become a part of their body. Okay. Now, unlike energy, which only moves in one direction, the atoms in the bird and the atoms in your body end up getting recycled, right? It's not like when you die, the atoms just like disappear into the universe. No, when you die, when that bird dies, we decompose, and all the carbons and the nitrogens and the atoms in your body go back into the soil, they go back into the air, and then guess what? The plants get to take all that in and reuse it again, right? So in that sense, you see this brown arrow here, you can see that matter, right, or the nutrients and the atoms, they are constantly being recycled between the photoautotrophs and the heterotrophs. And that's why nutrients are referred to as a cycling, or they move around in a cycle, and it constantly gets reused. Now, in order for that cycle to take place, you have to have decomposition, right? If someone dies, but they don't decompose, then all those atoms are trapped in that dead body, and they're not accessible to that tree, right? For that tree, for these plants to be able to use it, it has to go back into the soil, it has to go back into the air. And that's why, if you've ever seen, I guess you don't want to be thinking about a rotting animal, and we'll watch a video about what bodies go through when they rot tomorrow. It's kind of graphic, but it's also really, really cool. But even just something like a leaf, right? When leaves fall off a tree and you see it falls off its green and then it turns brown and then it starts to break up into little pieces, what's actually happening on a microscopic level is bacteria and fungi and other organisms are breaking those leaves down back into the basic parts, and then that goes into the soil, and then the tree can reuse that, right? So that's what we mean by nutrients flowing in a cycle. Does that make sense, Elizabeth? Thanks for that question. Anybody else have another question? Okay, I'm not going to explain it, but one question that did show up a lot in previous periods, where people were asking about why is it that trophic levels are capped out at 4 or 5 levels, and if you're not asking, I'm not going to answer it, but if you don't understand that, go ahead and ask, and I will be happy to go over it. But that's just something that's kind of shown up. While you guys are asking or thinking about that, something I want to mention is you'll notice that this unit is actually really, really straightforward. I think for the most part, a lot of these concepts are pretty easy to understand. But what's harder to understand is the big picture. And the thing that I want you guys to get is that when you come back from spring break and you dive into the next unit, which is Unit 8 with Miss Ray's, it's going to require you to have a good understanding of how the Earth and living things on Earth interact naturally. And by naturally, what I mean by that is how does the Earth work before humans showed up? Okay, so remember, humans have only been around for our discussions 5 million years, right? So in all the hundreds of millions of years that before humans came along, nature and life has found this perfect balance of population sizes, of producers, of consumers, of chemicals, and all that stuff. And everything now is this perfectly fragile balance of life. But when humans came along, we started to change the way that works. And so even though we're not going to look at what humans have done until after spring break, what I want you guys to understand in these next 2 weeks is what is the natural state of our planet, right? Before we built houses and civilizations and cities and cars and factories and all that, how did Earth naturally function and have a balance? And then once you understand that, then after spring break, we'll look at how some of that balance has been thrown off because of humans and our population sizes and our consumption. So you may find yourself thinking, man, this unit's really, really easy. But just because the topic is easy doesn't mean that it's easy to wrap your head around the big picture. So that's something that you want to always come back to, is ask yourself, do you understand that big picture? Jalil, you're asking, do all living things decompose the same way? For the most part, yeah, pretty much, right? All living things essentially are made up of sugars and proteins, nucleic acids, and fats, and all those are chemicals. So when we decompose, all you're doing is you're taking those big chemicals and you're breaking them into smaller ones, and then you're taking those smaller ones and breaking them down even more. And the process really is pretty universal amongst all living things, whether you live on land or in the ocean. Bacteria and fungi and worms and microorganisms, they're gonna get in there and decompose things, and return that nutrients to the environment. So yeah, good question. We'll talk more about decomposition tomorrow. I think we're gonna actually watch it together during the screencast, but you're gonna really like the video on decomposition. It's pretty cool. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, it's almost 3:10. I do have a meeting at 3:30, and so what I want to do in the last 10 minutes or so is open it up for an AMA. Ask me anything. So if there's anything you're wondering, it could be bio-related, it could be coronavirus related, it can be just you want to ask me anything about how things are going with me. Now's the time to ask. So feel free to jump in. There's 25 of you guys. Let's get some questions. How have I been vibing? I'm gonna sound really old, but like vibing, do you just mean like chilling? Or I don't exactly know what vibing means. Can someone clarify that for me? I mean, I know what vibes are, but I don't know how you're using that. Again, I'm old, man. I'm an old man. Okay, while someone answers the vibing question, when's the baby due? The baby is due, as of today, in 9 days. So, but technically they're fully cooked by 38 weeks. So we're finishing up week 38 right now, and so the baby really could come any day. My wife started to have more false contractions. So if you didn't know, the uterus where the baby's growing is like one big muscle bag. And when the baby is, when we're being delivered, that muscle is going to contract, and that's what pushes the baby out. So the uterus is starting to like do these little mini contractions just to like kind of warm up for the process of labor. They're not real contractions; they're false contractions. They're also called Braxton Hicks, and so she's been having more and more of those actually today, and that's going to increase as we get closer. So it's kind of exciting, but it's also kind of crazy because there's a lot of stuff we haven't done yet. Like I need to pack a bag for the hospital. When she goes in, we're going to be in the hospital together for about 3 to 4 days. So I got to start, packing clothes and, my camera and stuff to take pictures. There's some stuff that we got to get to, but yeah, we're pretty excited about that. Let's see. Can I live stream the baby? I hope you're not talking about the delivery. I don't really know if my wife would want us doing that. But for sure, like after the baby comes, I'll definitely jump on here, and you guys get to meet him. Yeah, he'll be pretty cute. So, well, I might look really, really tired, but yeah, I'll definitely get on here, and you guys get to meet the baby. Hanson's asking, if someone came up to you, but instead of robbing you, he sneezed on you, what would you do? I'd be pretty mad. No, let's not rob people. I don't know why that's the first thing you think of. I'd be pretty mad. I might shove them, 6 feet back, create that social distance, and then I would probably just go home and take a really good shower and gargle and I don't know. But I don't think someone would come up to me because I rarely go out now. Okay, we only go out for essential activities, which is kind of the mandate, and we do go for a walk. But you can see people from pretty far off, and people have been really good about keeping distance and all that. So I don't know. It's a weird question, but that would be pretty messed up. Yeah, I'd be pretty pissed, especially like right now with the baby coming. We're trying to be extra safe. Unfortunately, because of coronavirus, like if if the dad gets sick, like if I get coronavirus, they won't let me into the hospital to be with her during the delivery. So that'd be really really bad. Um, rob him, sneeze on the money, and give it back. Yeah, I don't know about that. Jessica, you missed the quiz on Monday. Can you make it up? Yeah, send me an email. I did actually give you guys until Wednesday to take that quiz, so I don't know why you would have missed that. But we did have some people not take the quiz, and it did close on Wednesday. So if you need to make it up, send me an email. I'll try to unlock it, but I can't guarantee that it's gonna work. It's kind of a new thing. I'm still figuring it out. But Jessica, send me an email, okay? All right. Any other questions? Let's see if I missed any up top. Oh, and of course, how have I been vibing? In other words, how have I been? I've been good. Things have slowed down a bit. I'm trying to like tie up a lot of loose ends just to make sure that we can start, getting ready for baby to come. Now that we got most of this Canvas and video stuff set up, I'm able to get the lessons posted pretty quickly. So I'm spending less time on that, and that grocery delivery project I think I told you guys about, I'm like handing that over to some other people to run, so that's slowing down as well, which is really good. So we've had more time to finally relax. It's been a busy 2 weeks, but I'm good. I think I'm finding a good balance of I'm sleeping enough, I'm eating enough, I'm socializing enough, FaceTiming with people, we're getting some exercise, so all around doing pretty good. Am I stressed? I don't think so. I don't know. I'm definitely busy, and I sometimes feel a little overwhelmed with what I need to do. But I wouldn't say that I'm too stressed about it. I'm not generally a very stressful person. I can, if I feel like I'm kind of overwhelmed, I'm pretty good at stepping back, making a list of things I need to do, and then making a plan to handle that. But I think I'm a mix of nervous and excited for the baby stuff. We are originally, I don't know if I told you guys this already, but originally the plan was for my wife's parents to come out and stay with us for a week, and then my parents were going to come out and stay with us for a couple of weeks. And so we were planning on having a lot of help around the house with cooking and doing laundry and helping with baby stuff. And because of coronavirus, they've had to cancel those trips. So we're kind of on our own, and I think that's maybe there's a little stress involved with that, just because babies wake up every 2 hours to feed and everything, and so I'm gonna be sleeping a lot less, and there's gonna be a lot that we still have to do to keep up with our daily life. So I guess I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I think it's gonna be okay. I just can't keep telling myself people have been having babies for a long time, and under much worse circumstances, right? I mean, think about all the world wars and famines and Black Plague and just all the crappy times in history. People still have kids, and we're still here. So all things considered, I think I'm gonna be okay. I'm not too worried about that. All right, last chance for questions. Got about 3 to 5 minutes before we have to head out here. There's 25 of you in here, but not everybody's chatting. And the thing is, when I click on the participants, I can only see people that have been kind of talking. So if you're just watching but not really saying anything, feel free to jump in here and say hi or whatever. Trying to see if there's any questions I could ask you. Oh, I guess here's a question, and you can just answer this really quick with a yes or no. Have you guys in the past week, have you been able to get on FaceTime or Google Chat or Zoom with your friends or family at least once a day? Just to kind of keep up that social aspect of your life. If you've been able to do that once a day, go ahead and respond, comment below. Let's get a yes or no and see what you guys are doing. Okay, people are starting to respond. I got some yeses, I got some nos. Owen, what's the possibility that school could be closed until the end of the year? There's a good possibility. I mean, I don't know like what the plan is. We don't really know, and until we see like what's happening with that curve that we talked about with coronavirus. But that's definitely a possibility. I mean, they pushed it back to May 4th for now, but they may like at the end of April if there's still a lot of cases and stuff. That's definitely a possibility. So yeah, I know that's really really tough, and that's why like we got to be creative with it. I see a lot of you guys saying yes, that you have been FaceTiming. You go into audio calls but not video. Okay, yeah, audio is good, but I think there's something really cool about video. Just like seeing people's faces and getting that. I don't know. There's something in our brain where like that facial interaction is it's different than just getting on a phone call. But either way, it's still phone calls are better than nothing. But you gotta be able to have that interaction. Vivian, you're asking, are we flattening the curve? That's a really good question. Actually, I'm gonna share with you guys. Let me find that link. The Bay Area actually has been doing a really good job of kind of following orders for the most part. I mean, people are out and walking and stuff, and that's good. But this is not like from the county health department or anything. But there's this guy that runs a podcast, and he does a lot of stuff like with data, and again, this is not necessarily official data that's coming out, but I'm gonna give you guys. I'm gonna give you the link right now. I'm gonna post it. Oops, where's my YouTube? Shoot. Here we are. So check this link out. This article. I'll go ahead and switch over so you guys can all see this if you want to see it for yourself. But this article is called Bay Area is Flattening the Curve. And, my camera too far. And basically what he's saying here is that if we look at the data and we're comparing like what's going on in the Bay Area versus like New York, you can see the total number of cases. Oh, shoot. I don't know if you guys have heard, but New York is in a lot of trouble right now. They're having like a pretty bad crisis. You can see just in the past week how many more cases have increased in New York. They are not flattening the curve at all. And a lot of that is not because they're not doing anything. It's just because it's so congested there. Like the density of people packed into a small space, it's almost impossible, even if you're just going to go out for groceries, to maintain that social distance. And but the blue bars here, that represents the Bay Area in terms of like how many new cases we've had. And so you can see if we were to like make a line graph out of this and connect that, the curves, it's flattening for sure. So what the conclusion that he's making, and you kind of compare this is Bay Area versus California in total, and again you can see that, and again it depends on like the area and how spread out people are, but as a whole compared to the rest of the state, we're doing a really good job with the shelter in place, and it's showing that it's working. So I know it's a sacrifice to like have to stay inside and kind of keep to yourselves, but the good news is it's working in our area at least, and that means that maybe we'll be able to get out of this sooner than other parts of the country. You guys should be pretty proud. The Bay Area has like been a good model for the rest of the country. Like we're like a couple weeks ahead of a lot of places, a lot of states, and they're kind of looking to us to see how to manage this well. So, Vivian, that's a really good question. If you want to take a look at it yourself, again, you can click on that link and read that for yourself. Let's see. Kyle's asking, if school were to be closed for the rest of the school, what's going to happen to grades? We don't know exactly yet. Kyle, the admin and the district office, they're like meeting every single day to try to figure out the best way to handle the grades. So, I would, at some point we have to give you guys grades. Like you guys are in the class for most of the year. We're not going to, just like not give you a grade, but they need to figure out like how they're going to give those grades out. So when we know, we will definitely communicate that with you. 12 deaths. Actually, since we're on this website, let's look up San Mateo County Health just to see how things are going. So if you go to smchealth.org, coronavirus, you can see in San Mateo County, we've got a total of 195 cases right now, and 5 deaths. So it is increasing. I think like last week I saw it was like 80. So the number of cases have doubled, but the number of deaths we've been able to keep relatively low. And part of that is because San Mateo County is one of the more aggressive ones with the shelter in place. I've heard of people actually getting tickets for like, they're getting like $400 tickets for being out, not for non-essential business, and even if you're not maintaining your social distance, the police can start to ticket you. And it sounds kind of mean, but this is like a public health crisis, right? So we really want to be, doing what's best for everybody, not just thinking about ourselves. Elizabeth, yeah, the whole chloroquine thing is ridiculous. Let's see, and it's really helped, but they aren't announcing it as a cure. Don't know why it's. Yeah, so the reason I said it's ridiculous is because so chloroquine they're using it in other countries, but there haven't been enough studies yet. And so the way that our country works is, in order for a drug to like be formally publicized and like going into production and doctors prescribing it, it has to go through a rigorous testing process, right? Because just because a drug works on one person doesn't mean it's going to work on another. Just because someone has a normal reaction doesn't mean that it's not going to have an effect for other people. So I was reading up on it a little bit, and like chloroquine can work really well for some people, but if you have like a heart condition or you're taking other heart medications, those two drugs can actually have a really bad interaction that can become really, really dangerous. And so we have a government agency called the Food and Drug Administration, called the FDA. They have to be the ones that go through the testing and make sure that it's like really safe and that we know like all the risks before we go out and tell people that they can be taking it. Now, the reason I said this is kind of ridiculous is because word's getting out about the chloroquine, but the thing is, chemistry is actually pretty complicated, and there's different forms of chloroquine. And there was actually the news, I think it was in Arizona, like earlier this week, somebody read the news and they're like, oh, chloroquine can help protect us. And he and his wife, not super smart, they like noticed that that word looked familiar, and they found it like on a bottle of this like cleaner that they use to clean their fish tank. And they're like, well, if it says chloroquine on there and the news says it's chloroquine, we should be able to take it. Well, there's two completely different chemicals. One's like chloroquine phosphate, and another one's called hydrochloroquine. Completely different chemicals. And they took it, got really sick, and the guy actually died from that. So that's kind of what happens when people don't study science and don't understand that that chemicals are named in a really specific way, and so you got to be really, really careful about like where we're getting our information and make sure that we're getting it. Especially when it comes to medicine, you should only be taking medical advice from your doctors and not just like listening to our president tweeting about things, because he was tweeting about it, and then people heard about it and started eating or drinking their aquarium cleaning products and dying. So yeah, Americans being Americans. I mean, this is everywhere, but yeah, this is why we need to study science, guys. All right. Okay. Will we have finals? Owen, I don't know exactly for sure. We're gonna have to wait and see. We'll probably have a better idea after spring break. We gotta give. A lot of it depends on whether we come back or not. But we also are just kind of waiting to see what the district office says. Okay, I need to wrap this up. It's 3:27. I got to get another call in 3 minutes. So I'm going to cut this off here. Hope this has been good for you guys, just to have a little bit of interaction. Keep up the FaceTimes and the Zooms. If you guys said no earlier to the question of socializing, try to do that today and over the next couple of days. Just hit up your close friends or family and have dinner together, or watch a movie together, or play a game together. Just have some of that face-to-face time. It's really good for you. Speaking of FaceTime, I really want to see you guys. So what I'm kind of thinking is on Tuesday, I'm gonna send out a link probably around 12:30. It's not like an official class or anything like that, but I'm gonna send out a Zoom link through Canvas, and so keep an eye on your notifications around 12:30 on Tuesday. I might just have one Zoom call for all my bio classes, and we'll get on camera and hear from everybody, and it'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so until then, take care. If you have any questions or anything comes up, just send me an email, and we'll we'll see each other. All right. Be safe. Take care of each other, and I'll see you later. Thanks for coming. Bye.